Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to speak in this debate, and I was a co-signatory, but by a quirk of parliamentary procedure, because I am leading for the SNP, my name had to come off the motion. But I pay huge tribute to the Right Honourable Lady for Camberwell and Peckham and the Right Honourable Member for Basingstoke. They are two women in this place that I hold in the highest regard, and I think that the debate today has been completely consensual, as it should be on this issue, not just in this place, but across society. And I'm moved to quote the words of Emmeline Pankhurst, who said, "We're here not in our efforts to be lawbreakers, but in our efforts to be lawmakers." So to get to speak today and to be part of hopefully what will come forward and be new regulations, legislation in this place is very important, because I think, as the Honourable Member for one of the constituencies in North London, and I've forgotten her constituency, said, we have to reflect society, but we also have to lead society. And I think 100 years on from women getting the vote, that is hugely important, because when I was thinking about standing for election, it was something that I thought very carefully about whether I could do, because for two reasons. One, I knew I needed to come out and deal with my sexuality, and secondly, I wanted to have children, and those two things were somewhat interlinked, and there are some technical challenges that, as a gay woman, I have for my straight counterparts, but nonetheless, regardless of that, being able to know that there are members across this place that support this process means, hopefully, for the next generation of parliamentarians, whether they're male, female, from the BME community, whatever disability or ability, and whatever their sexuality is, that they will look at this place and other parliaments across the UK and think that is something that I can and want to be part of. So I think it's been an incredible debate. And as we look across the world, we have the Prime Minister in New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, is about to have a baby with her partner. She's been very open about that. I think, we're taking steps forward. And the testimonies that were read out, the Right Honourable Member for Camberwell and Peckham mentioned my honourable friend from North East Fife. I'd also like to refer to my honourable friend from Glasgow Central, who got a really interesting email during the 2015 election, and I'm just going to read out the question and the answer she gave, because I think it typifies the debate, and her excellent response just shows how far we still have to go. Dear Alison, I'm in favour of many of the SNP's policies, but I'm a little worried to find that you are the mother of a very, in brackets, young family. I can see how this could work with a seat at Holyrood, but Westminster membership must pose a harder challenge. It would help to know your solution before polling day. And I mean, to me, it's quite incredible that anybody would write to a potential candidate and see the fact that they have children as a problem. Because there was an excellent Channel 4 News programme recently that had the rapper Professor Green on it, and he spoke about why we need more people in politics who have been subject of government policy and are from different backgrounds and have different experiences. So let me read you Alison's, the Honourable Member for Glasgow Central's response. Thank you very much for your email. I apologise for the delay in replying. Wanted to give you a more considered response to your inquiry and give you some background as to why I'm standing. I'm certainly not alone amongst male and female candidates across the country in this election in being lucky enough to have a family. Indeed, the male Labour incumbent in this seat also has a young family. The outgoing House of Commons was 22% female. The average age of an MP was 50. More than 400 MPs, 62% of the total, are white men aged over 40. I think that Westminster ought to be a good deal more representative of the people it serves, and that can't be achieved without more women. Inequality affects policy and it affects governance. I firmly believe that with its poor gender balance, Westminster has made deficient policies in areas which affect families, such as cuts in areas of child and maternity benefits. By contrast, with a slightly better gender balance, Holyrood has taken on a great deal of issues in its remit which disproportionately affect women, such as free personal care, expansion of nursery education and making law the right to breastfeed. Over the last 5 years, and she goes on to talk about being a councillor, and the challenges she had, and my honourable friend for Aberdeen North was also a councillor in Aberdeen with very small children. And my honourable friend from Glasgow Central finishes her email by saying, "I will cross whatever other bridge is required to be crossed after the votes are cast and counted on the 7th of May." I mean, I think that's an excellent response, but it does show... Yeah, I'll be happy to complete.
I thank the honourable member for giving way and I welcome the very strong contribution she's making. She made a point about opposition that candidates may face during the time of the election when they might find themselves to be a new parent. And I reflect on the abuse that I got as a candidate in the election from a candidate that stood against me from a different political party who took to Twitter to criticise me for not attending a debate during the evening during that election period. He accused me of being timid for my refusal to attend an election debate. I told that candidate that I hadn't refused to do any debates with a newborn baby. Evening events are near impossible, and that I would gladly take him on any day. He responded to say that he didn't realise we were still in the 1950s when only a woman can look after a child. He thought the Labour Party believed in shared paternity. Well, I take this opportunity to tell him very strongly that the Labour Party most certainly believes in shared paternity, and we actually champion shared paternity. But the response that I gave to him, my final response, and I left it at that, was to say, to remind him that A, we weren't expecting a general election, B, that he didn't know my personal circumstances, and as far as I was aware, that men still couldn't breastfeed. And I suggested that he might want to stop digging. But the point I'm just seeking to share with the House in just sharing that little anecdote is that this issue that we're discussing today is obviously pertains to what happens in this House, but the point that the honourable member makes about what happens at election time and how candidates treat other candidates, and particularly on this issue, is still really relevant and shows that in 2017 we've still got an issue to address.
I thank the honourable lady, and I completely agree. This vote and this issue is not just about the technicality of how we cast our votes. It's very important, and my honourable friend from the Neil and Anar has highlighted to me the importance, and we've spoken about the honourable member for Birmingham Yardley spoke about the thin end of the wedge, and I agree on that it's proximity. My honourable friend from the Neil and Anar has sometimes some very significant challenges with weather and geography, but it's about the discourse and the narrative that we have in politics with each other, that the press have with us, and one of her honourable friends spoke recently about the work for you and the digital environment, how our votes are recorded, and how all of the systems and processes that are around politics and around how we do politics need to be more transparent, need to be more reflective. And if we have that positive system where the vote is recorded for our constituency, then it will be much, much more positive. And I just want to refer briefly and pay tribute to my honourable friends in the Scottish Parliament, Angela Constance MSP and Fiona Hislop MSP, both Cabinet Secretaries in a gender-balanced Cabinet in Scotland. Both have had children whilst in office as ministers and as MSPs, and they, for me, have paved the way and inspired me to stand. But the Scottish Parliament from the outset made clear its commitment to inclusive and family-friendly workplace practices. As I've already said, there's a seat for everyone. Voting takes but a few seconds. In its planning phase, best practices from parliaments across Europe were actually drawn up to ensure the establishment of the new legislature could learn from some of the mistakes and successes from parliaments across the world. We have a creche in the Scottish Parliament and not the stricter nursery system that's in place here. I will want to pay tribute to the work that the Speaker has done on that. But my honourable friend for Airdrie and Shotts has highlighted to me some of the challenges of bringing, and he has had, his wife has had a child very recently, of bringing children to this place when the family room is sometimes misused by other members or for meetings. He has had a great deal of support in that, but we do need to look at that aspect of it as well. And the corporate body in the Scottish Parliament has set out many inclusive practices, which include how business is done, so finishing at 5 o'clock. But I don't want to talk too much about the other place. I do want to focus here on some of the other experiences. My honourable friend from Aberdeen North talks about how she travels to Westminster by plane. Most airlines don't let women over 36 weeks who are pregnant fly. Fly B is 34 weeks. Also, after having a baby, you can't fly for at least a week, probably more like a fortnight. And if you have a caesarean section, as other honourable members have spoken about, you may not be able to fly for 6 weeks. So if she had a baby, and she did say that she had no intentions of having any further children, I do think we might have put women off, not off standing for election, but perhaps off having children. Although I have to say I remain undeterred, as I'll declare an interest as an aspiring parent. But she says, you know, being away from Westminster purely because she couldn't travel here would be very unfair to her constituents and mean they would be unrepresented. Now, my honourable friend from Airdrie Shot said that he was lucky to have his wife was lucky to have his son during a recess. He has fantastic staff who assisted, ensuring everything was covered in the constituency. But these matters need to be formalised. You know, Mr Deputy Speaker, it just seems incredible that 100 years after women got the vote, that we are debating the fact that they can't take part fully for their constituents and fully in debates. We know that parliamentary work is not just about walking through the lobbies and voting, it is about being in your constituency. But having an open and accessible parliament in whatever part of the UK will make sure that people from whatever walk of life they are from, but particularly women and parents, aspiring parents, will think very carefully that they can be part of democracy, that they can stand for election, and it will make those women, particularly who are due to have children very soon, parliamentarians, it will make their lives significantly easier. I hope the House and the public are listening carefully to the testimonies that have been heard today.